All right. Happy Hump Day. Happy October. Happy Government Shutdown Day. Happy trading. Good morning. Good morning, Maxime. Welcome to the stream. My name is Jacob Gabbard. This is our live trading we do every Wednesday. And we are going to demonstrate our indicator today. That's what we do each Wednesday. We come in and demonstrate how our trading view indicator works. If you're new here, we do have a trading view indicator. It works only in trading view. It's called IWJ Pivot Point Pro. You can see it right here on my screen. And what it does is it's forward looking. It uses price action. It uses volume. And actually it uses quite a bit of things. It uses about 175 or so different inputs that give it a threshold, looking for key levels, looking for areas of potential reversals. Then it looks for weakness at those areas. So if the market is moving down into a support zone, it looks for weakness in the move down and then tries to issue a buy signal on that weakness, and vice versa. If it's moving up into a resistance zone, it looks for weakness at a key level and issues a sell signal on that weakness. So it is a forward-looking indicator where most indicators are looking backwards and waiting for, say, a moving average to cross or an RSI to change or whatever you're looking for that takes time, and then you end up getting into the move really late. The indicator has proven over the last 21 months now to be extremely effective. We are up about $67,000 or so, or $65,000 over the last 21 months, so not even 2 years, and that's based on a $100,000 account. We were trading 25 contracts per trade, but we have done so well, we have moved that up to 50 contracts per trade. You can trade whatever level works for you. If you have a smaller account, obviously please trade smaller amounts of contracts. You should be trading about 1 to 5% of your total capital. So if you have a 100K account, you should be roughly between $1,000 and $5,000 on your trades. So you can work out how that works. Options prices are usually around $1. Somewhere between like 95 cents and $1.30, just kind of depending on the day and the volatility and different things going on. But the average is, I would say, about $1, $1.10, somewhere in there. So if you just kind of assume $1, then you can trade 5,000 contracts, or I'm sorry, 50 contracts for $5,000 on a 100K account, and you're risking about 5% of your capital. Additionally, we do have good stops, so when you do lose, you're only losing a percentage of that 5%. So of that 5%, you may lose 1%, if that makes sense. So you'd lose $1,000 of your 100,000. So you risked 5, only actually lost 1, and we do have tight stops on that. And then your runners run, so you keep your gains unlimited or uncapped, and you cap your losses, which allows you to create a great risk-reward structure. So if we have a baseline here, here's our entry, and here's our stop. We take our first win at 20%. So if we get in for $1, our first win comes at $1.20. So these wins, these small 20-cent wins, 10-cent wins, they get stopped out after that. Those add up. Keep in mind that trading 25 contracts a day, you only need to, or a trade, you only need to make 16 cents a day to make $100,000 a year. Trading 50, you only need to make 8 cents a day to make $100,000 a year. Remember, that's $400 a day times 5 days is $2,000 times 52 weeks is $104,000. I realize there's holidays and things in there, but it's still roughly $100,000. So 8 and 10-cent trades add up over time. And if you have a 100K account and you make 100K, that's 100% return on investment. Now, we're not doing that. We're not averaging that, but we are averaging about 35%, which is pretty darn good. So these small wins add up, and then we let the second half of the trade run with stops. We keep moving our stops up, and when we hit key levels, we take more profit. And we take our losers, and then we stop out right here. So the idea is these small wins add up, and they counter the losses, because you're going to have losses, guys. That's how trading goes. The small wins counter the losses, and then the runners are generally profit. Now, let's talk about trading for a minute, because I think a lot of people get lost in the short-term view of trading. All trading, whether it's day trading, buy and hold trading or swing trading, bonds, retirement, all of it is the same. It's all a long-term game. If you are trying to get rich tomorrow, you're in the wrong place, you're doing the wrong thing, and you'll be broke. Can you get lucky and hit a monster? Of course you can. People do it all the time, but it is certainly not easy, and it's not an approach I would take. The reason is, in order to hit a monster that would make you rich, you have to generally lay out a ton of capital, and if you're wrong, you're going to lose a ton of capital, and it only takes one wrong trade to wipe you out. Believe me, I've done it. I know. I have a lot of experience early in my trading career blowing up accounts. That's how you learn to trade first. If you didn't read anything and you just have a lot of ego and bravado, you're going to go in and think you can figure it out because you're so smart. You're going to get blown up, and you're going to blame everyone but yourself. So trading is a long-term game. You have to understand that you are going to lose. No one, not Warren Buffett, not Jamie Dimon, not Elon Musk, not anybody is a perfect trader that never loses. So if you're going to lose, you have to be able to withstand those losses. And you're going to go through losing streaks. And the reason is the market does things at times that are odd, that don't match up to historical trends, statistics, and probabilities. And it can do them for a long period of time. Right now, we're in one of those phases. August and September were pretty meh. August was bad. September was flat. We were basically break even in September. So when you go through those phases in the market where it's doing really strange things and not respecting support and resistance and not respecting the things that statistically it normally does, you are going to find out how trading works, and you're going to be humbled pretty quickly because you find something that works 60% of the time, 70% of the time. Well, that doesn't mean you're going to win 7 trades and lose 3. It means you might win 30 trades and lose 3, and then lose 12 trades and win 3. It might mean that you lose 10 in a row. That's a long-term statistic. And all you do in the market is play probabilities. The probability of X happening is this, so I'm going to take the higher probability route. If it goes the other way, that happens. That's something that the market can do. And most edges in the market come in at around 60 to 65% for the very good traders. Ours is probably right in that range. That means you're going to lose 30 to 40% of the time, 35 to 40% of the time. So you better have a good risk-reward structure, and you better have an edge that works. Now, do you have to have a winning percentage on your trades? Absolutely not. There are very, very good traders that make tons of money only winning 3 out of 10 trades. Why? Because they're taking whale trades, which are okay. There's nothing wrong with that, where they think that this is a major top right here or a major bottom, but we're at a top. So this is a major top. They think that they're going to get a, let's say here, 30, 40 point drop, whatever we got last night, 40 point drop down to here. They think that's coming. And so they set their stop loss like this, wherever they set it, a point or two higher. And so their loss is very small because they think they're at a very critical junction, and their win is very big. So they only have to win a few times to be profitable. And in other words, if your risk is 1 and your reward is 3, meaning you're going to win 3 every time you win and you're going to lose 1 every time you lose, you only have to win 1 out of 4 trades to break even. That means in order to make money, you only have to be 50%. So a break-even trader, percentage-wise, you're making money. So winning percentage on trades is completely misleading and irrelevant. It's how your risk-reward is set up and how you manage your trades. So if you understand that and your risk-reward is sound, I mean, let's be honest, I can make up any risk-reward I want, but if it's not feasible or a proven that it's going to happen enough to win strategy, then it doesn't matter. So you have to remember that you are going to lose in trading. And if you're looking for a silver bullet, if you're looking for a 9 out of 10 winner, if you're looking for whatever, keep looking. And when you die, you're going to be looking still because there isn't one. If there was, everybody'd be doing it. It's very simple. Lay that stuff out, and everybody knows that. So all you can do is play the probabilities. what's going to happen more often than not at this junction. You play what's going to happen more often. If that's not what happens, you move on. It's just like blackjack. The reason you hit on 16, which is very uncomfortable, is because the probability says you have a better chance of hitting under 21 than busting. It's like 51-49. It's not good, but it's still the right probability. And you know the dealer stops at 17, so anything 16 or less, you lose. Of course, there's other factors at play. My point being, the casino, I use this analogy a lot, the casino always has the advantage in every single game. Does that mean people don't win jackpots against the casino? No, lots of people win lots of huge jackpots. But over time, that edge and that probability plays out, and you make money. Casinos can have bad days, weeks, months, even years, depending on the economy and stuff. That doesn't mean that they won't win over time. They will. It's a long-term game. It's the law of large numbers. The law of large numbers says that probability will win over time every time. That's not exactly what it says, but that's basically it. So mindset is the most important thing in trading, and I do have a podcast. It's only a couple episodes long right now. Been a lot changing in my life, so I haven't been able to dedicate the time I want to it, but the first 2 episodes are all about mindset. You should check it out on my channel. It really tries to help you understand the mindset of trading, which is any trade doesn't matter. Any day doesn't matter. Any week doesn't matter. You start getting into months and years, you want to start paying attention to your strategy because you got to make sure your strategy works. But in general, short-term deadlines, short-term gains and losses are irrelevant. So just a quick trading lesson. I see too many people lose for 2 days and complain, lose for a week or a month and complain, and it's just a losing proposition in trading. You're going to continue to look for the next great thing, and then you're going to fail again because you expect to win every trade, or you expect to get rich, or whatever bad mindset you have. Then you make bad decisions, then you get in a bad emotional state, and you make bad trades. So just a quick soapbox moment on trading. Last night, market moved down. They rejected the highs pretty soundly, really. Immediate rejection after the close yesterday, and then followed through in the night. Now they're kind of bouncing it back up, which is pretty typical. Unless you're just going to get full evisceration, which I don't think you will very often right off the highs. Sometimes you do, but not often. Unless you're going to get a full evisceration reversal, you're just not going to see an overnight move in one direction the whole time. So they went down, set a low, and now they're kind of grinding back higher off of that low. They did hit the higher one-day minimum, which is at 661. There's a lower one at 656.50, so there's plenty of room to the downside if they can break through the pre-market low. However, given that they came right down to the end of day one-day minimum, that is a strong sign that this may hold, and I do think it will get tested today. I would preferably like to see them close down around this one-day minimum if you're a bear. If you're a bull, you obviously want to see them take out yesterday's high. You want to see them, maybe not the high, but they can. I mean, that's certainly not a problem. The 665 area is going to be a big area. If they take that out, they're very likely to come back to these highs and all-time highs. Now, the key to watch here for me isn't the markets, it's Nvidia. Nvidia broke over 185 yesterday, which was, if we go to Nvidia really quickly, we don't generally do other charts, but we will for today. Nvidia, let's go to the daily real quick on Nvidia. So you can see Nvidia had this really strong resistance wall right here. Yesterday they closed. They are trading back down toward it. If this turns into a false breakout on Nvidia, be an extreme selling back down, quick selling back down to this 170 to rip it back up, or they could probably hit 200. I think that's the overall target, but they may pull back first. It just depends. They're already back down at 185 flat with selling. So Nvidia is the one to watch back below this line. All right, sorry about that. So Nvidia is the one to watch today. They broke down to 184.08 in the pre-market. If they break that low, because that is below support, that will likely lead us to um, more selling overall. That will lead to a bit of a sell-off moment in Nvidia, and again, that's short term down into that 160 zone. But you would look for acceleration should they break this low. As far as the counts go, remember we do have an A and a B set up still. They have not made new all-time highs, so you have A, B. You'd be looking for them to start C down. And a C wave, remember, takes a 5-wave shape, so you'd be looking for this to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down into here, and then see what happens. You know, C waves can extend, so you could see a direct shot if they're going to break down, or if they're going to continue to the downside, you could see a little bounce from there and then down. A couple ways for them to do it. We just have to see how they react at certain levels and what kind of structure we get when they do react. So as of right now, we're still kind of in this little bit of a no man's land. The bears did, again, reject these highs and push down. And now we got to see if they follow through. If they don't follow through and they take back this 67.33 level, then we're likely headed to 6,800 overall. Really bad with the buffering. I'm not sure. I changed my internet. I have not had a single problem this week at all until now. So I've done all kinds of live calls with my group. I'm not sure why we're seeing the buffering issues. So I do apologize, guys. I don't know if it's a YouTube problem or if it's the internet. But I fixed the internet. I got a new high-speed internet that is actually, give me 1 second here and let me see something, and I'll see if I can make it work better. Hold on. Let's see if that fixes it or makes it better. Give me one second here, guys. This is really annoying. One more second. I'm getting a phone call from my wife. I have to take this call, guys. I'm so sorry. Hello? Sorry about that, guys. We had a just announcement. So next week I will be out for the live stream. We are taking a family vacation, and literally 5 days ago I was going to upload the passports, and my daughter's I found out was expired 5 days before the trip. And so my wife had to drive to Atlanta yesterday to go to the passport office in person and get it done and pay an exorbitant amount of money. And she's there now, so any call from her I got to take to make sure it gets done right, and she has all the information. So I do apologize if I have to take a break for that real quick. It's been it's been more of a circus than a vacation, I can tell you that. So hopefully I can get this internet picks up steam here, and we start to get a better connection, and things start to work better. I turned off. I had a couple TVs streaming as well, so I turned off CNBC and the other stuff, and we'll just concentrate on this, and hopefully that'll make it better. Again, I apologize. I don't know what the issue is with the streaming, with the internet today specifically. I've had 3 TVs and calls streaming all week with no issues, and today while we're streaming. No, we're in Cincinnati, Siva. So she had to drive 6 hours last night to get there for a 9:30 a.m. appointment today. We leave tomorrow, and now and as soon as she's done with that, she has to drive 6 hours back here. So, actually, northern Kentucky. But either way, it's been a nightmare. I can tell you that, because we sent the documents to a place that was supposed to do it for us, so we didn't have to do that. And they said they could do it, and then they said they couldn't, so they overnighted the documents. Anyway, long story short, it was a absolute circus. So anyway, guys, we're about 2 minutes from the open here, so let's get ready for the market. I think we should be okay now, I hope. And again, I do apologize for the issues to start the day. This is a temporary setup for us right now. We've gone through a lot. My daughter's gone through a lot of moving, and that's our fault as parents. We traveled for 2 years, and then we went back to Vegas. She went to a school year there, didn't love it, went to a school year in Washington. Didn't love that. She came here to Kentucky, where my family is, for my dad's funeral. We loved the support we got here, and she went and visited the school. She loved it, and she's been in it for a couple weeks, and she absolutely loves it. And we had 3 dogs, a grandpa and a great grandpa die in the last few months, and my daughter's just having a hard time. And as a parent, that sucks. So anyway, we are in a temporary living arrangement right now while we look for a house. And so the internet situation I thought I had fixed, because it's not my house, but I do have Starlink for my RV, so I put it out, and it was fine all week. Maybe Starlink's having an issue, I don't know, but here we are. You flying out to Australia? No. I would love to go to Australia, but we're going to Cancun, actually. We're going to spend the rest of this week and all of next week there, and then we'll be back after that. Hopefully, we're looking at a house, or we have a house that we think we like, and hopefully that'll be an offer accepted while we're gone, and things will start to move forward on that front. But anyway, we've got a few seconds here before the open. We are in a sell right now, but we aren't close enough to get a buy yet, so we're kind of in between. So I would say, oh no, we are close enough to get a buy. We may get a buy at the open here, so we'll see how that goes. All right, there's our buy. All right, guys, we have a buy signal. Take the buy. My Schwab account is now frozen. This is what a day. This is what. Take the buy though. I'm gonna relog into Schwab. I can't give you the parameters of the buy because Schwab is not updating. My goodness. You should have taken some profit by now. We got the buy right here at about 663.66 or so, 663.50. They're up 60, 70 cents from there. So you should have had enough to get you should have had enough to get a first take of profit here for sure. I wish I could help you guys out with the numbers, but remember your next key level is going to be up here at 665. So you're going to want to take some profit at 665 if you took some already. This is going to be a winning trade. I just can't give you the numbers. I do apologize. This is an absolute disaster of a morning. Now I know for sure this is a profitable trade. So if you took the trade, good job, guys. Sorry I can't give you the numbers here. They are coming into this kind of gap close type of situation where the post market trading ends and pre market begins. They came up here to that area. So this is going to provide heavy resistance. You could see the next bar be a rejection of this zone. It's also very close to this high volume level at 665. So I would definitely take some profit if you haven't already, and then let the rest kind of keep running and doing that thing. Almost logged back in here on Schwab. Hopefully it's working now. It was not updating any prices. It had the it had the price for the option call at 20 cents at the money, and I know that's not accurate. So Siva, welcome to the stream. Marco, welcome to the stream. R. Smith, welcome to the stream. Bill, welcome to the stream. I'm delayed 2 minutes. I'm not sure what the delay is. I'll be quite honest with you. But I know that there's been a little bit of internet issue, so it's certainly possible that I'm delayed. But that's why this is a demonstration of the indicator, not the indicator itself. There's always going to be latency. Hi, Mohammed. Welcome to the stream. So just based on option prices, I'm guessing that the option is up about 50 to 60 cents, roughly. That's a guess. So if you took the trade and took your profits, good job. Again, we always let a runner run, so we would have taken half at 20%, so that would have probably been in here somewhere, I don't know. And then once they get up to the next key level, which is 665, I can show you here the call resistance gamma wall here. This is going to be where heavy resistance is, and we want to take profit there. Now, does that mean they can't push through the resistance and keep going? No, they can, but the more likely scenario is they reject. So we want to take some off here. So we take half at 20%, then we take a quarter, so a half of it, the half we have left here, and then we let the last quarter position run and move our stops up with it. Pre-market high at 666.18 would be my next target. So about 1.5 higher or so. Hopefully all of that makes sense. Normally I'd walk you through that with the trade. But this is an obvious winning trade and a good start to the day, good start to October. I just don't have the trade numbers. So unfortunately for me, one, I couldn't even get in the trade, so I didn't get to make the money. Two, it's not documented, so it doesn't go on my winning trades. Three, you guys are delayed, so you don't get it as quickly. So this is why having the indicator is so important, though. And as you can see on the screen, 30% off your first month if you want to try it out. And you get a 30-day money-back guarantee, guys. So they're coming up on that 665 area. This will be a key area. We'll see if they can push through it and reject, or push through it and or not push through it and reject directly off of it, or just push through it and go. They certainly can do that as well. Nvidia, still at that 185 level. Remember that 184.20 level or so is what we're looking for on Nvidia. If they break that, that will very likely bring the market with it. The ADD is improving. It was negative 400 to open the day. It's now positive 50. Vold is slightly positive to start the day, what you would expect given the buying we're seeing here on the first couple candles. So as of right now, bulls are trying to step in and reverse last night's overnight push down. We may see a gap fill. Yesterday's close and the pre-market high are essentially the same place, 666.09, 666.18. But the probe below 6,700 overnight is a bit of a warning. It means that the bears are trying to push through. So far, they have not succeeded. But the more times they come down and probe and get below it, the weaker that's going to become. This trade turning into a really nice winner now. I mean, from the entry around, like I said, 663.60 or so, wherever that was, they are now up to 665, so $1.50 up from where you got in. That's pretty good. And climbing. The delay is 10 seconds here, not too bad for YouTube. Yeah, it looks like it's gotten better. I don't know. Maybe there was something blocking. Maybe Elon had a problem with his satellites. I'm not sure, but hopefully it doesn't have any more bugs, because it was freezing up my Schwab account as well. So I got to miss this nice trade here. NQ has a red bar now. It's not a big red bar. It's not like it's collapsing yet, but I'm always interested when NQ is doing something different than ES. So keep an eye on that. Like I said, we take profit at 665. We move our stops up. So let's say the price of the option right now, well, I can look at the price of the option now, is, whatever, $2. So your stop should be about 150 right now. And it was probably up closer to 210, so maybe 160 should be your stop. I keep it about 50 cents below option price trailing. So if options prices are $3, it's going to be 250 and so on. Because essentially what's going to happen here is they're either going to reject and fully reject, or they're going to kind of chop it here and go, and you want to try to give yourself enough room to absorb this chop and go. It's hard because you don't want to give too much of your profit back, that's for sure. But you still want to give yourself a chance to catch that extension. So it's a balancing act, and sometimes you get it right, and sometimes you get it wrong. Um, sometimes you get stopped out by a nickel, and then they rip it back higher. Sometimes you get it exactly right. So you just gotta kind of feel it out. But I usually find that 50 cents keeps us in the game long enough to catch some extensions, but doesn't kill the profit too much. George T, I've been having problems with YouTube all week. Well, maybe it's YouTube then. I don't know. Um, but I had problems with Schwab too, so I'm wondering if it was my internet. Uh, Either way, it sucks. Brad, sorry, JG, what was the price you're looking for? Nvidia to break for a drop? 184.20, I believe, was the overnight low. And that's also going to put us below that key level. So we looked at it you can rewind. We looked at it in the pre market. 185 roughly is the big support number, or big number that it broke through yesterday to kind of break out. And if it's going to continue to break out, you'd look for strength today. Seeing weakness below 185 is a problem for the bulls, and it's below 185 now. And if they do break down through 184.20 or so, then that will be something to really watch, because that can accelerate in a hurry, guys. Okay, they did move up enough for us to get a put here, so I will be looking for that next. Options prices are a little elevated today. The in the money put is 169. The in the money call is 140. Those are generally around $1 to $1.15 or so. So they're elevated a little bit, telling you volatility is a little higher today. So keep that in mind as you track these moves. That means that when volatility is high, one, you generally get two-way moves, or you get very red moves, one or the other. And since they're ripping it higher, I would expect some sort of red pullback at some point. And you got to remember, guys, if this is going to be a red day, there's only a couple ways that can happen, right? I mean, there's a lot of ways that can happen. But if this is supposed to be a very red day, the pre-market low and one-day min are down here at about 660. So they opened at 663. If they just ripped it down here, they were going to have to break through. So a lot of times the market will kind of bring it up to have room to come down for the rest of the day so they can close it down here. They do those things all the time. Give you a failed breakout and then crush it. So just keep those things in mind, that just because they're moving up right now doesn't mean that the bulls are in control necessarily. It is just the dynamics of the market and how it works. Unbelievably, the big money market makers kind of know where the market's going all the time. Those one-day min and maxes, I talk about the ocean all the time, the shoreline. And people build houses based on the tides, because 99.9% of the time the tides are going to come to the same place every time. But when you have a hurricane, it pushes the tide through the shoreline and pushes it into homes. So on big buying days and big selling days, those one-day min and maxes may not hold, but about 90% of the time they do. So it's kind of that, if you were a bear and they ripped it right down into it to start the day, to me that would have been, unless they broke through, which doesn't happen often, that would have been a bullish event to me. I am sitting on a 664 strike right now for the put. We don't have a sell signal yet, but that is what we're looking for. Remember the trick that when they come down into VWAP or one of the moving averages on my screen anyway, I tend to expect a little bit of a bounce off of that because that's what happens more often than not. So I try to give it a second to bounce if we do. So if we get a sell signal like right now, it's a really tough place to take it because, as you see right now, they're pulling back off of it. And a lot of times you can get a better entry price and a better stop if you're patient. I know we want to get in as fast as possible most of the time, but when it's sitting on VWAP or a moving average or a double in this case, you got the 8 and VWAP right there. It is a place to watch for a little bit of a pull or bounce back up off of it. Now they have bounced back off of it a couple of times, so we'll kind of have to see how this goes. But that's more of a practice thing. You know, if you want to just get in, then get in. Oh wow, that was a big one. They just rolled it. So we are 114. And the stop is going to be, give me 1 second here. 664.20. I'm sorry, 664.25. 664.20. 664.25. Yeah. Let's type that wrong. So since we got in at 140, we're out. Man, this is fast. I'm gonna close half for 160. I didn't even get my stop in or my take profit in, so we got a really nice win there. Close half at 160, stops to 114. Typically, you would want 114. That would be about 25 cents, which is 39. So 139 would have been our normal take there, but I didn't even have time to get my take profit in. They moved it so fast. So happy to take 160 and get a way better exit. Makes up for the first trade a little bit. And we're going to move our stops to 130 now. So 2 winners today so far. Unfortunately, we didn't get in on the first one, but second one looking nice here. First one was nice. We'll see if we can get some follow through below this low. So they're coming down to the open and bouncing. This is going to be a key because this is where, so the market opens, and this is where the daily bar starts to turn red below this. So even though you have a gap down, this is going to look green going up. And then once it turns down here, it'll get red, and that changes market psychology. So you can watch for them to break down here. They're bouncing off of this area. It's heavy support, so that makes sense. The market open is always going to be a support line to watch. We do have 130 as a stop. We're hoping they hold the 21 here. That's the goal, and turn back down. $21 is kind of our trend line indicator. So usually they haven't had time to fully establish the trend, but usually the 8 is and a downtrend is below the 21, and that's your momentum indicator. But they just moved back below the 21, so the 8's got to work its way down. So right now the 21 is the trend indicator, and that's going to tell us that the trend remains down, especially if they come back down and make a lower low here. NQRD below the open. Yeah, I mean, ES did get below the open, or SPY, I guess, a little bit, but they did rip it back up to the 21, which is pretty normal. You would expect a bounce here, and you would expect a rejection here. We got both. They did reject this, whether it stays rejected or not. They pulled it back down, but now we got to see if they can hold it here on this bar. This is a pretty heavy selling bar, so to get a little bit of a bounce on the next bar isn't necessarily uncommon. I mean, what they sell this? They sold it from 665 to 22 to 660. They sold this $2 in 5 minutes. That's a pretty heavy selling bar in general. So seeing a little bit of a retrace of this would not be uncommon, as that's pretty lopsided. We just hope they can hold the 21, or maybe the 8 still keeps us at 130 or over 130, and we can see them rip it to the downside. But if they break this low, the next you got some high volume levels here, 662 and 661, 662.50 and 662. Sorry, 663, 662.50, and 662 are all high volume levels. So it's not going to be a blow through this area most likely. But if they do get back below the open here and start to grind, we can see them grind all the way back down to this pre-market low at 660.87. That would be a nice hit on this trade if we could get that. If not, they might bounce it up and then bring it down. There's a lot of ways to get to where they're going. We'll just have to see. Also, this is a closing number right here. So what that means is they can come down. Why aren't you drawing for me? They can come down below it and then by the close be back up here. Why would my indicator not flash the green buy? I don't know. Maybe you have a feed issue with TradingView. Try refreshing your screen. Every morning, guys, because I have Mentor Q, if you leave your screen open overnight, or you always have your same TradingView screen open, I always refresh my screen every morning just to get the feed running again and make sure all the data is coming through, as well as the Mentor Q updated levels. Because I do know that TradingView just kind of freezes after being sitting in the same chart with no movement overnight. So you might need to refresh your screen or something. I'm not sure. But every morning before the market opens, I just do a refresh of all my screens to make sure that all the data is coming through properly. So they tried to reject the 21 so far. We'll see where they close it. They came up to the 8. They're kind of rejecting that now. Still above our stop. So we're still doing okay, and we're going to do okay on this trade. Right now guaranteed a 31-cent winner. And again, that first trade was a nice winner as well. I just wasn't able to give it to you. I'm sorry that my Schwab account froze. Just one of those days. So they closed just over the 21. Now the question is, can the bulls hold it? If they can't hold it, then this is just a failed kind of test. They may come back to VWAP and then push down. There's a lot of ways, like I said, to get to where they're going. They can certainly buy back that whole bar. Although given options prices, given the overnight action, and given the kind of market dynamics and what I'm seeing on Nvidia, I don't think they're going to buy it all back. They could. Nvidia did come down to support and bounce a little bit. So it's an interesting day, that's for sure, because at the close yesterday, bulls were trying to make it very evident that they were going to push all-time highs today. And they got fully rejected. So very interesting overnight action to me. And don't feed me government shutdown nonsense. Everybody knew that was happening. All right, we got stopped there at 130. Darn it. So our average exit there was 145. And we'll see what we get from here. Now, they did not sell it enough for us to get a buy signal in this move back up. So you won't get a buy here, so don't be expecting that. In fact, well, NQ has, but ES hasn't. I'll let you know if they... Oh, no. In fact, you may get another sell signal if ES switches back to its buy cycle. While we wait for that, I want to go look at Nvidia real quick because that's the one I'm watching. I want to see how low they ended up dropping on that. Did they get to their pre-market low? They did. Okay, so this is This is a scary spot for Nvidia short-term Nvidia holders. If you have like options for this week or today or something, it's a great buying spot, honestly, because probability says pre-market lows hold and push, so it's a great buying spot for that. But if they come back down and break this low, that is a dangerous proposition for the overall move up, because this is the pre-market low, this is the support. They have a little more support down here at 183.76, but they are in a spot where Nvidia could turn into a pretty strong sell-off, and this could be, well, maybe not. I was going to say this move up could be an expanded B. I haven't really broken down Nvidia today and really looked at it. I just kind of was looking at price options, price action. But this is an interesting spot here. So Nvidia defending where it needed to defend so far. But if that does break down, where's their one-day min? They have a one-day min of 179. So you could see Nvidia really, really get ripped, because that would break these lows as well. And that would be, yeah, that would be into this high right here. That would be an interesting move should that happen. That would be opening the gates to the downside, in my opinion. Okay, let's get back over to the SPY. Welcome to the stream, everyone. I hope you're enjoying it so far. Sorry about the hiccups at the beginning. That's kind of annoying, but hopefully you were able to jump on that long, get that winner. We got the short winner, so we have 2 winners today. Remember, if you want to try this indicator out, guys, you get 30% off, and you get a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to keep it, you get a discounted price. If you don't want to keep it, you pay 0. And if you're worried about losing money, you can simply put it on your screen for a month. Just watch it. You could paper trade it. Try it out for yourself. See what you think. You have nothing to lose. I've given refunds to anybody who's asked. I give refunds sometimes after the grace period, because not always. There's got to be an extenuating circumstance. But I mean, I'm not here to try to mess anybody over. I'm trying to help you guys make money. And I think anybody in my room will tell you that I'm pretty open. I'm pretty honest, and I honor my word. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Hey, Jacob, how do you explain that ATM calls are expensive? Calls are, I think you mean more expensive than puts for SPY and QQQ, but out of the money puts are more expensive than calls. So at the money can be deceptive, because you got to remember, if you are in the money right now on a call, you are barely in the money on 664, so you're going to be less. 665 would be your put, and you're way in the money on that, or almost $1 in the money, so you're going to pay more, if that makes sense. So where price is in relation to where the call and the put is going to dictate that difference, I think. But the out of the money stuff is going to dictate what the market thinks the moves are. And I would say that more often than not, when that's the case, markets are going to move in the direction of the out of the money, more expensive price. So if you want to see the true value of it, you need to wait till a 50-cent mark. So if they get to 664.50, then 664 calls and 665 puts are exactly 50 cents away, or 50 cents in the money. So they're even. So then you can see what their price is and see which one is truly more expensive and by how much. Typically, they're not going to be that different on the at the money ones. Now, if the market is expecting a move, I have seen like on Fed days where calls or puts are, it's easy to see that there's a discrepancy in price, and markets generally end up moving in that direction. Not always, again, probabilities. But it really depends on what price point you're at. Sam, but you have to follow the rules that come with the indicator or you'll lose. That's a fact, Sam. Follow the rules. It's simple stuff. So many people, the let's see, what's the word I'm looking, fallacy of new trading. The fallacy of the new trader is that you have some secret idea that's going to make it better. And that's not to say that new traders or people who've traded a long time don't have good ideas. It's that experienced and especially professional traders have been doing this very, very, very long, and have put a lot of work into finding the right risk-reward ratios, the right stops, the right entries, exits, all those types of things. If you think of it like cooking, right? If you are an inexperienced cook and you say, oh, you know what this needs is more pepper or something, and then you get to the end of the recipe and you're like, that recipe sucked. Well, did you follow the recipe? No, you added something of your own into it and then you ruined it. And that's what happens a lot with new traders. They want to make everything better. They think they can make everything better. Now, are there times that a chef comes onto a Gordon Ramsay show, cooks a Gordon Ramsay dish, and he says, wow, it's better than mine? Very rarely, but yeah, there are. There's always somebody better than you, even if they're new. You know, just because you're a rookie in the NBA, and if you're LeBron James or Michael Jordan, you might still be better than 80% of the veterans in the NBA. But that still means you're a professional. So being new doesn't necessarily make you bad. It does make you inexperienced, and inexperienced traders make a lot of mistakes. It's not that they don't. The thing is, trading isn't really that hard. It really isn't. It's so emotional that it becomes hard, and it's so captivating that it becomes hard. Everybody sees dollar signs, and they're like, oh, I can be rich. I can fix this. I can make it better, and I'll get rich faster. Or that trade didn't work. I need to get back in and do it again. Well, it didn't work. That's just part of the game. And you need to move on to the next trade when it comes. Don't force trades. Don't do anything like that. So Sam is exactly right. You have to follow the rules. It's like a recipe, especially if you're baking. You know, if you're doing a different recipe like a steak, you might like it more peppery. But we're talking about baking here. It's a precise recipe for a reason. If you don't put in enough sugar, it's going to taste like crap. If you put in too much of this, it's not going to rise. Whatever. I don't know anything about baking, as you can tell. My point is, I know that baking is a science, and cooking regular stuff is fun. Baking is a science, though. People work very hard to get those recipes right so that you get the right texture, flavor, all that kind of stuff. So trading is also a science. You have to be a robot. You have to follow the rules. There's no room for input, in my opinion. Now, is there room for improvement? Yes. Would I use my improvement? Maybe. And here's what I would tell you. If you have an idea, that's great. I'm not telling you not to have ideas. But if you have an idea, do you know when I put my indicator out? After I tried it for over a year on my own by myself. Then I did it in my room for about a year with my people. Both of those years made money. Good money. Then I made it into an indicator that I sold. So 2 full years of testing, one without anybody, one with my group. Sorry, guys, but I was making money, so I was confident, and we'd made money too. And then I put it out. So I'd say, if you have an idea, that's okay. Paper trade it for a year. If you made more money that way than my way, by all means, do it. But don't waste money. Or if you don't want a paper trade, trade one contract or something like that. But simply just putting it in there and trying it, that's going to cost you a lot of money. We are looking for a put again. They did give us a sell stop on the way back up, so we can get a put on the way back down. Well, they call that the Dunning-Kruger effect, where people know like 3% of something, but somehow they think they know 100% of it, and they're so convicted in what they believe that they believe everybody else is wrong, and showing them that they're wrong only makes them more convicted. It's like flat earth, right? Sorry if any of you guys are flat earthers, but my God, my God. Um, those guys are so convicted in what they believe that you can't change their mind and you won't change their mind. Even when you show them the exact evidence that does, they will never change their mind. So it's, um, I read the story. So hold on, we might get a trade here. The story of the Dunning-Kruger effect is amazing. It's really funny. Let me get set up for this trade. We'll be at 664 still on our put, should we get it. So the Dunning-Kruger effect, these two scientists, Dunning and Kruger, I guess were their names. That part I can't. I assume it's Dunning and Kruger. But this guy robbed a bank, and he had read in like a sci-fi book or something that if you put lemon juice on your face, you're invisible. And he believed this so greatly that he put lemon juice on his face, went into a bank, waved at the cameras, robbed the bank, and was arrested in like 25 minutes. When they interviewed him, he said, "But I put the juice on my face." He still didn't believe that the juice didn't make him invisible. He was so over, I don't want to say brainwashed because he's brainwashing himself. So I don't know how to be so convicted that his belief was correct that he literally robbed a bank and waved at the cameras. I, I can't even begin to believe that that's true, but it is. That's how the Dunning-Kruger effect, and that's where that study started. Crazy stuff. Some people are genuinely crazy. You'll note that I ramble on about things a lot, especially when nothing's going on in the market, because it's pretty boring to watch bars go up and down, honestly. Ignorance can be fixed, stupid can't. That's exactly right. Like you can learn about stuff and fix what you don't know, but to be that stupid is not not fixable. I think that's exactly right, George. A Town Club, I feel like panicking. What are you panicking about? A Town, that's where my wife went though. What about robbing a grocery store instead? Well, maybe it was the camera. Maybe certain cameras make you invisible with lemon juice. I'm sure that's probably it. Believe me, listening to you is much better than some of the spaces on Twitter. Those guys melt my eardrums. You have a soothing voice, JG. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. If you like it, my nephew and I are gonna. He's he wants to start his own sports podcast, and he asked me to do it with him. I watch a ton of sports. I'm a big sports fan, and uh, our goal is to kind of be the Howard Stern of sports, but not as raunchy, like not as over the top as him. He's a little much, but to be not like a clean sports show, I guess, and not be just ESPN spouting stats and stuff. So if you like it and want to tune into that when we do it, we're going to do that as well here coming up in the next few weeks. If you like sports. And I appreciate that, Mohammed. Thank you very much. All right, the Bulls making the climb here, starting to build a little trend. That was a terribly drawn trend line. I almost hit one of the points. Um, we'll see how they react when they get back up here. I do think that Friday is still going to be moving day. You know, the jobs number, you can always kind of tell what they move their catalyst around to based on different things. Like for a while there in 2022, CPI was the catalyst because of inflation. So every CPI number, regardless of whether it was hot or not, was a 100-point move in the market or more. October of 2022, we got the hottest CPI in 7 decades, and the market ripped from the lows all the way up to the all-time highs. Not that particular day, but over the next few months. So the tone of the news, again, does not matter. Negative CPI number, worst in 7 decades, one of the biggest rallies we've seen in months, and then continued to one of the hottest rallies ever. So I think that jobs now, because of stagflation, everybody's worried about stagflation because inflation is not going away. Powell's, these guys are not very good at math and economics, in my opinion. But inflation is not going away, and oil's one to watch. If oil starts to break out again and it's starting to build a potential breakout structure, that'll be very scary for the markets because that'll be a sign that inflation is still here and still strong. And if jobs are also not, if unemployment is rising and inflation is rising, the Fed's hands are tied. And as far as what they can truly do, because if they lower rates too fast, inflation continues to climb. If they keep rates high, and unemployment continues to climb. And so they kind of stay stuck in stagflation, which is about the worst thing the market can have because it's so unpredictable and hard to deal with, and the market hates uncertainty. If they know that there's inflation, they don't care. If they know that there's high employment, they don't care. But if there's both, then they care. So that'll be an interesting one to watch. But I do think jobs data is starting to become the new kind of catalyst. The Fed is becoming, I think, less important to a degree of no matter what the Fed does, it's going to cause a problem. And so they need to see if the problems are going away. So if unemployment is, or the jobs number is shit on Friday, then the market may tank. It may tank either way. It may go up either way. Like I said, the tone of the news doesn't really matter. The market has a plan. But the long-term view of the market, it will matter. And that's I explain that all the time. When I say the news is noise, there's two things. Number one, what I mean is the tone of the news, meaning positive news doesn't make the market go up. Negative news doesn't make the market go down. I mean, obviously it does sometimes, but that's my point, sometimes. So if it's a sometimes event, it's not an event. That's like saying coins always land on heads. Every time? Sometimes. What about the other times? Well, they don't those. But when they do, they do. Well, then it's not a thing. So there's no correlation to it. But in the big picture, the tone does matter. So not this week, not this month, not even next month, maybe not even this year. But the things that are happening now will affect the economy in 2 years, will affect where we're at in 2 years, and that's when the market is starting to worry. They're not worried about right now. They weren't worried about in COVID that the COVID was coming and that inflation was coming. They didn't care. They didn't care until 2022 when it got here. And then when it got here, the market tanked. So the tone of the news doesn't matter today. So the market moving on that news is all traps and tricks and all that kind of crap. So that's what I mean when I say the news is noise. Don't take any one day event of the news as that's going to be good, so the market's going up. That's a silly thing to think. But jobs is the one they're watching now, or will be. Our jobs number may not come out on Friday due to the shutdown. Oh, I didn't even think about that. I don't know. I have not heard that. That's why I have CNBC on. Not because I want to hear what they have to say, because most of what they have to say is laughable, but um, because of things like that, like updates like that. I have not heard that. That certainly could be possible, but I had to turn my TVs off because the internet wasn't working. So I had to turn down the streaming. All right, we're approaching the selling candle high. So they broke down here. We're coming back to this area. So price action 101, right? This is an important area. Why? Well, they came right up to it and they sold crazy hard off of it. That tells you that they're going to sell this area. Most likely, they're going to sell that area again. However, it also tells you that they sold hard here. This is a very hard selling bar. So if they don't sell here and they get through, then they're going to squeeze because all of the sellers failed and the buyers are coming in strong. So you're either going to see a really strong rejection, which happens more often than not. Maybe not really strong all the way back down to here, but like you could see it down to here and then back up. Or they're going to probably grind. They probably won't get through it on the first try. That just doesn't happen very often. So they might go like this and then break out, but it will be a squeeze if they do. Anytime you see a hard sell like this, that tells you the sellers like that price. And anytime that price gets taken out, that tells you a squeeze is incoming. So that's price action 101 right there. Very basic stuff. Now I got to delete all my shapes and drawings, hieroglyphics. All right, so we are basically at that high. They touched it. Now they're coming into it. Again, they can spike it back up to this high here at 665.40, but I would expect in this area to see some red. Same concept. So here's that same concept in reverse. They bought like crazy off of this area. They came down to it, and as soon as they got to this area, what'd they do? Squeezed it right back up, rejected it soundly. So that's the same concept in reverse. We should see something similar here. Again, if we don't, then expect a big bar coming out of here. They are only 12 away from closing the gap on the ES, and and less than $1 away on the SPY. So it would not shock me to see a squeeze in to close the gap here, and then come down. Does anybody know that was in print, Siva, about the jobs number not coming out? Is that what you're saying? Um, does anybody know the 3 ways to reject an area? I'm curious if you guys. There's 3 things that can happen on a rejection. Does anybody know them? I'll give you a minute to type them in before I tell you. Thanks, Siva. Hopefully, I'm saying that right. How can you look at 5 minute chart gaps? Gaps are 1 day, aren't they? Why? Yeah. So I have my levels. So you can see right here, yesterday's close is 666.09. So to fill the gap, they have to come tag 666.09. And I'm certain I said your name wrong, and I apologize. It looks like Huawei. Huawei? Huawei? I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully I'm close. George T says the three ways are gently, carefully, and vigorously. Yeah, kind of. No. So the three ways are so here's the level. The true level is right here, even though the top of that red bar is a strong area. You can come up short of it and reject. You can hit it on the number and reject, or you can spike it through and trap everybody, then reject. They are going for level 3 right now. We'll see if they can follow through. Close enough? All right. So if we zoom over here, they're coming into the pre-market high. You can see that was an area actually that they sold pretty hard off of. That was right at the close yesterday. They also came up and tagged that area in the pre-market in these weird spike bars that you get, these tails, but still a selling area. This is all selling zone that they're in, and the zone that they're in right now is this resistance. So that's why they rejected it the first time, and that's why they're back here again. Getting above that will likely close the gap, though. Guys, if you like these numbers and you don't necessarily want the indicator, but you like the levels, these call resistance and these high volume levels, which again, they came up just above the call resistance. So this is a spike and reversal rejection. This was a just short rejection. So you're seeing all kinds of different ones. These levels are incredible to trade off of and use for trading. This is called Mentor Q. It is a paid service. They're not part of Invest with Jacob whatsoever. But I am an affiliate, and there is a link in the description that does give you a discount on their service. So if you want to use that, full disclosure, They do give me a kickback for referring you, but I will tell you this: I only refer two things because I don't really use affiliates to make money. That's not my game. But if it's a really really good product, I do. And this is a really really good product, and the only other one I refer is TradingView. Um, and that's because I really like TradingView, and you need it for my indicator. So if I can give you a discount on it when you get my indicator, I do. So if you want to try that out, there's a link in the description on MentorQ. They're exceptional levels. Today is the first day of the month. Something to keep in mind that very often the first day of the month can set the tone for the whole month. So if you get a red October 1st, then very often you'll see a red October, and you can hunt for those. And if you get a green October 1st, very often you will see a green October. Now, October is traditionally one of the worst months of the year, and very often when you have a green September, you have a red October. So keep in mind that volatility is expected to increase in October, and more often than not, you see, even if it's just for the first half of October and by the end of October they're back to flat or positive, you see some kind of pullback in October. Nvidia has almost closed its gap. So remember, it went all the way down to that support level. I told you that's a great place to buy, but also be careful if they break that low. We'll just check it real quick. So right here was where you would have bought off of that pre-market low, and they crushed it straight up off of that. So from 184.08 straight up to 186.79, a $2.71 move in about an hour, a half hour, I should say, not even an hour. No, about an hour. So pre-market lows, pre-market highs, very good to watch for things like that. Now they just closed the gap and they're turning down. Let's get back to the SPY because we could get a trade here. Not necessarily, but we could. If they turn red, if Nvidia is going to turn down, the market will probably go with it. You are seeing a negative ADD. So what happened early? The market opened negative 400 and ripped to positive 200. And now it is back to negative 56. So all of that early morning buying is subsiding a little bit. The markets are starting to move down. Volt is still slightly positive, but nothing crazy. And everything is red except for SMH, which is an unstoppable freight train. You are seeing, so what you're seeing today is, again, the Mag 7 versus the market. The Mag 7 was all red today, and now you saw Nvidia get back to green for a second there. Top half of the mark of the Mag 7 is red. The lower half Tesla, Apple, Google. Oh no, Google's red too. I guess really just Tesla and Apple. Maybe it's not. Sorry, I guess I misread that. Um, so you are seeing red fairly across the board. Tesla still a runaway train. Gold still a runaway train. Are they still up? They were up early. Yeah, gold still a runaway train. Bitcoin, big breakout today. So we've been talking, if you've been following me, about Bitcoin as long as they held that 107 level and broke back above whatever, 113, I think it was, then you were likely going to see a squeeze on Bitcoin. We're seeing it now, and they're back up into 117, which I believe is a good resistance zone on. I'd have to go look, but we can get a trade up here, so we're going to hang for a minute. Do Mentor Q levels change throughout the day? Generally, no. The only time you'll see the Mentor Q levels change is um, if there is a incredible move. So remember, like I talk. I don't know if you're here for the Open, but I talk about those levels, especially the 1 day min and max, being like the shoreline. 90% of the time, the shoreline's going to hold 99.9% of the time. We know the tides, we know where they're going, we build houses based on it. However, when there's a hurricane or a big storm or something, it can push the tide up into the houses, past where the shoreline normally goes. And at that point, they do create a new 1 day max or min at the next level down. Very, very, very often, like 90% of the time, I would say those hold. And meaning that the close is back above them. You can go below those numbers or above those numbers, but the close will generally be back under or above, depending on which direction we're talking about. Um, those are the times that they change levels. Some of the times the market makers can't even predict when the market's going to surge. All right, we're pushing for the gap close now. I'd be shocked if they didn't get it. Again, remember, guys, when you're thinking about the market, they can go tag this directly. It looks like they're going to try to, but they didn't have to go tag it directly. They could have come to here and then pulled back and then gone and tagged it. So when I say it looks like they're going to go for the gap close, that doesn't mean that they're going to do what they're doing right now and give you a bar right into it. It means that they're very likely going to get to that number at some point during the day. Banks are not participating in this gap close type rally. Dow Jones Transport slightly red. RTY flat, trying to close its gap, or already did probably. Yeah, there it goes. It's closed. ES or SPY just a couple cents short of the gap close. SPY looks like closing the gap. Hopefully, no new all-time high. I mean, if they do, they do. It's a buck 34 higher. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for sure. Especially if Nvidia is gonna continue to rocket launch here. They've moved through their pre-market high, back tested and moved up, so they can definitely break up to the upside here on Nvidia. They have made a new all-time high on Nvidia. So the interesting thing here, though, is Nvidia's at an all-time high and pushing, and the Nasdaq is flat, which tells you it's a one-man show. And while Nvidia can move the market on its own, clearly, a one-man show can't necessarily make the market break out. They do have a one-day max up here a little higher at about a buck higher, 188.78. So I would expect that area to be a place to hold. And this does look like a pretty decent 4-5. So we'll have to see how this plays out to the upside. Keep in mind, they don't go make lows in the overnights or highs in the overnights for no reason. They will go find those lows and highs eventually. So that low they made overnight at 66.80 or whatever, right around there. They will event, not maybe not today, but they will go find that low at some point. They are setting that as a support line, and that level was already support, so they tested that support. Obviously, they failed and got bought back up, but they'll come back down to that level again. They don't do that in the overnights for no reason. That's why pre-market highs and pre-market lows are so important, because they'll go back to those levels, and then you'll see what happens from there. If they reject them, you have a good trading opportunity. My put is at 666 right now, just so you guys know. We might be getting one here soon. They're now back testing this area. They walked right through it essentially. And usually, if that happens, you're going to see them spike up, and then they're going to come back down to at least test it, and then very often come below it. Anytime you see a major level get breached without any real fight, they're going to come back to that level for sure. So who are they trapping? That's the question. Are the Bulls fully on board? Let's go. We're out of here. Or are they trapping the Bears with this little pullback and then going to rip it higher? All right, let's see if there's any follow through here. If they break the 8, very likely they're going to come down to the 21 here at 664.69, and then VWAP is next at 664.52, roughly. All right, starting to see some weakness come through here. May get a sell signal soon. Need to see NQ drop just a little more. I think we'll get. Ooh. Or not. They still have unfinished business right here. And they're still holding the 8. Remember, the 8 is the momentum line. As long as they're above that, momentum is up. They're holding it right now. They're back testing and holding. If they get below that, then they're probably going to accelerate into the 21 and see what happens there. I'd imagine if they close this bar red, the next bar will lead us into a sell, but I can't guarantee that. The NASDAQ still has to follow through a little bit. STA stream stopped on your on. Oh, okay. I still show an excellent connection and that we're doing okay here. So Hopefully that's the case. So far, guys, all they've done is backtest this high. So look, they spiked it a little bit here, but closed above it. They spiked it here, closed above it, spiked it here, closed on it. So they got to get down below this level here to start to break down a little bit. One of the reasons, guys, that the pre-market low is so important for today specifically, not in general. Everybody knows. I hope you know why the pre-market low is in general. Is that it went below yesterday's low. Now on the chart, if they don't come down and get to the pre-market low today, that's okay, but it's going to look like an inside day unless they break out obviously to the upside, then it's going to look like a breakout. But if they fail to break out over the pre-market high and close somewhere in the middle here, it's going to look like an inside day to yesterday's bar. But if you're looking deeper under the hood, you'll see that in the after hours, the bears were able to get below yesterday's low. And that's a small warning. It certainly doesn't mean they're going lower, but it generally doesn't happen. So you generally don't see them break yesterday's low in the pre-market and then not come back to that number and come back to that number with kind of some force. So that is a warning overall. It doesn't mean they can't even go get a new all-time high first, but they will come back to that number and very often break it because it is a sort of trend change indicator when you break the previous day's low. And sometimes they do that to kind of set the tone underneath of what's happening, allow the fake bulls to run the price up and then trap them when they all start piling in at all-time highs. So keep that in mind that uh, anytime the pre-market low breaks the previous day's low, whether they go back to it or get lower than it or don't, that is a small warning to the bulls that under the hood, the bears are setting something up for at least a small push down, if not a little more. Getting a little choppy now. We're just under the pre-market high, just under the gap fill. That'll be a key area to watch for a reversal if they do push back up there. As I said at the beginning of the video, Nvidia does hold the keys to the market right now, in my opinion. If they were able to break Nvidia down, then the market would be continuing to move down aggressively. However, Nvidia held their low, their pre-market low, and bounced off of it strongly, obviously back to new all-time highs. So until or unless Nvidia decides to weaken itself again, it alone can keep this market from fully dropping, and if anything gets on board, it can help push it up to new all-time highs as well. If Nvidia does break down below today's low, though, that will be a failed breakout, and we would look for that 160 zone to come into play, and then see what kind of reaction we get there. Otherwise, we're looking at a likely 200 price tag. This is the power of the concentrated market and the bubble. SMH and Nvidia are basically bench pressing the market today. What we'd eventually be looking for here, I'll just go through since we're a little slow here. I'm going to go to the daily chart real quick on these. Ignore any buys or sells that you see because they're not on that chart. They're not set for that chart. So nothing on here matters. Squeeze this in a little bit. So Facebook making a higher high or a lower high, lower low. They're in a downtrend into this area here. The target would be about 700 to 695. They came into 710 already. Microsoft working on a lower high as well. Netflix has made a lower high and not quite a lower low yet, but they're coming into their support zone on that. So they got an ABC setting up here. Amazon didn't quite make new all-time highs. So they technically have a lower high here. They need to break down below this 211 area though. But the Mag 7 does have a lot of lower high setups if they can follow through to the downside to give us that C wave we're kind of looking for a pullback. Tesla is ripping. We are expecting them to hold this area, pull back in a B wave, and then fill out a megaphone pattern up towards 500. But again, they don't have to pull back. This can just be a direct C wave into the highs to fill out that pattern and finish. Apple, they're trying to push on their all-time highs. They should be making one shortly. And Google is falling off of a major rip. They have not had a chance to make a lower high yet, but they're at their 21 daily, and this is going to be a key level for Google. If they lose this, there's a lot of room down here to 207. So the Mag 7 does have some setups for lower if they can follow through. They all have, a lot of them have lower highs. And some of them have lower lows. So we need to see them follow through on that. Equal weight is key. Yeah, I mean, it does tell a different story for sure. The equal weight is basically flat right now. But it's the power of the Mag 7 that really drives the market, or the major markets. All right, looks like they got the gap closed. Let me get zoomed in here. On the 5 minute, I am on the 5 minute. Okay, yeah, they got the gap closed. They're going for the pre-market high now. We'll see how they react there. So like I said earlier, it's very likely they were going to close the gap here. And I said they may have to do this first and then close the gap, or they can go directly for it. They went directly for it, came up short, pulled back, trapped anybody who was trying to sell here, and pulled back on them. So if you were trying to sell your calls at the pre-market high and they did this, you probably panicked. And then they came back and did it. And if you were trying to sell the market here, you couldn't get your entry either, and then they gave you the drop and you missed it, and now they're back here again. So that's a common little trick they do too. All right, we have pushed above the pre-market high here. If they come back and test the 8 and hold, or the 21 and hold, or even VWAP and hold, and push back over the pre-market high, or the high that they make here, rather, not the pre-market high, this high here, or wherever they make the high, they can still go higher. If they push back over that, it's likely to trend up the rest of the day. So this was likely a overnight sell the rumor, buy the fact kind of deal, or they're going to reverse it here, one or the other. Sell the rumor that the government shutdown was happening and then buy it back up. Everybody knew the government was shutting down today. That was not a surprise. It was not shocking. There was zero hope of them making a deal before midnight. And I think they'll probably be shut down for at least a week. So I don't think anyone in the world was shocked that the government shut down. And the market likes to do that little trick where there's a war and we drop the market 100 points, and then everybody goes, oh my God, a war, and they sell at the bottom, and then they go, nah, just kidding, we don't care about the war, and then they rip it back higher. Again, none of that stuff affects the market. Doesn't care that the government shut down. They know that it will or won't work out, and it doesn't matter. They have a plan, and the plan is in place, and it's going to happen. All right, we have a sell here. We are going to take it. It's 666 at 90 cents. And our stop is going to be 666.50. Back to that devil number. So we are short here. We'll see how it goes. If they back test and rip it back higher, then this is going to be a trend day and we'll be done for the day. And if they break through, then we could see a failed breakout turn into a really nasty fall, and that would be great. It would be really nice to be on board with. So peaking above the pre-market high now, they're trying to break out. If they turn down and fail below VWAP here at 664.66, they have failed to break out and very, very likely will go all the way down to the pre-market low down here at 660.95. So this is a key time for the market. We did get in at 90, so we need $1.08 as our first exit for 20%, and then we'll see what happens there. Certainly not an ideal reaction at the 8, but we'll see what happens here. They didn't even quite get down to it and reacted strongly, so that is so far a sign of bullishness. That is strength, I should say. The ADD is still negative today, which tells you that the buying today is on weak breadth. It also tells you that, again, SMH and Nvidia are pushing this market on their own. So those kind of moves can be sold quickly, because if those two stocks start to weaken, the rest of the market's already fairly weak, and that can turn into a overall pile on. So we'll see. It's a key time. Like I said, they're back testing the 8, and they're testing the highs here, and the winner will likely well, the Bears have a ways to go, but if the Bulls win, they can trend this higher and maybe even make an all-time high as soon as today. I mean, again, they're only $1.20 from it, so it's 12 ES points over the last part of the day. That's not a big deal. So seeing a new all-time high would not be shocking if they do break out to the upside here. But if they break down, again, it opens a trap door. They technically have not established a trend yet. They are a penny short on that last bar of tying the other one, so they need 2 pennies short, I guess, of technically establishing a trend. There was some. I mean, this is yesterday's close, and yesterday's close was sold pretty hard. So I would be shocked if they don't have at least a little pullback here, and then go higher, or a big pullback and breakdown. Either way, some kind of pullback here seems reasonable. And they did come in and reject it here, so that's not. I mean, I guess they technically did give us a little pullback off of that area. Um, there was still, I mean, it was still pretty aggressive selling in the closing hour yesterday. The closing hour meaning the hour between the actual close and the close of the futures market. So from 4 o'clock Eastern to 5 o'clock Eastern, not the close of the market. All right, they're trying here. Let's see if they can get through the 8. Getting through the 8 is the key. They get through that, and they've got a little bit of support here. This will be the next key level at 665.26, but pretty likely they'll come down to the 21. Well, it's now or never for the Bears. There's the proper test of the 8. They tagged it, and now they have to see if the Bears can actually come back down and break through it, or if we're going to just keep on keeping on here. Not a very good close of that candle, that's for sure. right, third time's a charm for somebody. Good morning, cats at home. You slept in. Or not. I don't know what time zone you're in. Welcome to the stream, though. All right, bears coming back into the 8 again. If they can't get through on this candle, I mean, that doesn't mean they won't go lower, but 3 tests in a row, depending on how it rejects. I mean, if they close right on the 8, then that's different. But if they reject it back up with another long leg tail candle, then that's not looking great for the bulls. Or for the bears, I mean. Sorry. It's not looking great for the bears if that happens. We'll see how this candle closes, but you came down into it 3 times, and if you get rejected all 3 times strongly, then that's not a great look. That tells you the bulls are sitting there ready to buy each time, and they're not going to let you break through more often than not. It's almost evening here. Well, then the good morning doesn't seem genuine at all. No, I don't like it. Nvidia's trying to give some back here. SMH is giving a little back, but can't seem to push down enough to get us through this 8 support. All right. Come on, guys. Let's get through. You'd really like to see Nvidia turn back red. If Nvidia can turn back red, that could lead to fair amount of selling pretty quick. Yeah, we're short right now. They gave us a sell signal 2 bars ago, but it actually went away because of the greenness of the bar, but it didn't hit our stop. So we have a short day trade. The open, we had this opening trade, which was a crusher. We had this sell here, which was a crusher, and now we got this short up here. The sell's not printed on the chart. It should come back here in just a minute once ES gets on board. But we had a sell signal right here that we took. Our stop is up here, 666.40, and we're currently in the money right now. We're 5 cents positive, but we're looking for $1.08 overall. I don't know why ES is being so stubborn here. Something I'm not seeing. That's a better close. So they closed right on top of the 8. Now they got to get through. Got to see some follow through here. So it's a pretty clear line. I mean, I don't think it takes a genius to see where they're at. They break that line, and this line will be next, and then the 21, and then VWAP. Don't break this line, trend day, and we're out. NASDAQ's trying to turn this bar red. Let's see if ES can get on board. Come on. New to the stream, do you stream daily? No, I stream every Wednesday, but in my room, if you can see on the screen, you can get the indicator, or you can get in my room. If you go to the website Invest with Jacob, you can subscribe, and I do provide trades in there every single day. Or you can the reason I stream is to demonstrate the indicator that we use. So you can see on the screen here these. I got a buy signal down here on the opening bar. It came in like right around in here, I think, so like 663.60 or so, and then we got this run up, and then we got that sell somewhere in this, I don't know, 664.70 zone, and we got all of this move down. So we got those two trades early on in the day, and then we just got a short up here right off of the pre-market high, but the bulls are proving to be pretty stubborn right now. NASDAQ's weaker, though. NASDAQ does not have this kind of bar. It has a bar that's trying to fail, and if it does fail, this will fail too. But we do this every Wednesday to demonstrate the indicator so you can see what it looks like, how it works, its effectiveness, all those things. If you want to know more about it, I would encourage you to go back and watch the beginning of the stream when it posts, or now if you want to. That's up to you. And you can I go through a whole spiel about how it works. But my channel's Invest with Jacob on YouTube, and there's tons of videos. I usually put them out every day. There's been some life happening in the last couple months, between several deaths, moving twice to two different states, just a lot. So once and then I'm out for a vacation that I had planned to Cancun tomorrow through all of next week. But once I get back from that, it will be back to business as usual. And we'll look for, so if you didn't get in the trade and you want to get in now, there's the trade. There's the sell signal again if you want to try there. We put our stops about 50 cents up, so your stop would be about 666.57. If you want to do that, that's up to you. But yeah, I'm a full-time trader, professional trader. I have a room of about 600 people that trade with me every day, and have about 400 or 500 indicators out there that people use every day. And and then I do this every Wednesday to kind of bring people in who aren't familiar with it, go through how price action works. When it's slow, we give training on how all this works and why, and then do that. So the welcome to the stream. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. But yeah, that's it. Speaking of that, next Wednesday I will not be here. There will be no live stream because, like I said, I'll be in Cancun. I normally don't take long vacations. This was for my this is one of those things that happened this year. It's crazy. We're supposed to be going to Cancun for my father-in-law's 60th birthday, but he broke his femur, spiral fracture in his femur, so he's not even going for his 60th birthday. So the rest of the family's going, some of our other relatives and stuff, and his dad died this year. My dad died this year. We had 3 dogs die this year. We've moved twice. It's been an effed up year. I'm not going to lie. The moving thing, that was our fault. We We hastily moved to Washington, or we're going to move to Washington, and decided that wasn't going to work out for our daughter. And anyway, long story short, it's been a hell of a year. That is, it almost reminds me of the COVID year. It's been so bad. Are you still in the trade? Have we hit 666.40? That is the stop I gave. Sorry, 50, 666.50. Did I give 40? I don't remember, but I typed 50, so that's what the stop is. It's 50. I don't know what I said on the stream because I moved very quickly in those trades, but I thought I said 40, but I typed 50, so now it's 50. Yes, I'm still in the trade. If I don't hit my stop, I'm still in the trade. Uh, from a parameters standpoint, we do have technically a trend day now, guys. So it's only by a penny or two, but the parameters have been met. And if you don't know what those are, you push above the pre-market high, which we did here. You pull back and test the 8, which, or the 21, or VWAP, any of these three levels, which we did here. You push back above the high you made, which we did here. And that's going to tell you that the rest of the day is very likely to trend higher. And you're seeing that breakout now. We were in the sell already, so we stay with it. That's just the way it goes, because you can get failed breakdowns where they come up, they push above the pre-market high, and then they give you this, which is an amazing trade. But sometimes they don't. Sometimes they stop you out, and that's part of trading. But we had nice winner here, nice winner here. It looks like we may take a loser here. Kind of sad I typed 50 over there because I think I meant 40, but that's okay. We'll see if maybe that was a super lucky mistake. Because the NASDAQ is not nearly as strong. The NASDAQ is weak in comparison to this. The NASDAQ has not even retraced this red bar yet. So interesting to see the SPY kind of breaking out here. Sometimes you make unfortunate mistakes. Sometimes you make fortunate mistakes. We'll see how it goes. Sometimes when you're streaming, you're doing too many things at once. Nvidia's back to almost flat. I have to feel like they can run this down. So maybe it was a fortunate mistake. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Now Nvidia's red. Trying to understand what's keeping the market up. Oh, I see that we got a breadth push. The breadth went to positive 112. So was RTY green? No, RTY's red. Who's pushing the market today? Tesla. Tesla, Nvidia's flat. I don't know. Gold with a big reversal today. So keep an eye on gold as a potential reversal candidate. I guess semis are pushing, but man, without Nvidia on board, it's an interesting to see them kind of breaking out on ES here. All right, we did stop out there, so we will close out for 62. And that will be it for the day, guys, because once you have a trend day in effect, we don't trade against it, and we're too late to the trend. There's no reason to chase here, so we will end the stream here. Again, next week, no stream because I will be on vacation. The week after that, business as usual, and then everything's kind of in hindsight. We're done with trips. We're done with moving. We're done with all that stuff. Everything will be back to hopefully business as usual. So I do appreciate everybody being here. Very Much appreciated. Sorry, my brain gets distracted. ADHD. Very, very much appreciated. 2 good winners, 1 loser today, and not a bad day overall. So hopefully you guys took part in that with me and had a good day too. And we will do this again in 2 weeks. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate it. See you in a couple weeks.